Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the college football team up there in the mountains of Colorado called the Buffaloes. Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. What is going on in the mountains of Colorado? Remember those names. Dylan Edwards, Hunter, Sanders, Kamati, Horn, Weaver. Again, Dylan, Sanders, Hunter, Kamati, McLean, Horn, Weaver. You've heard those names before. These are some of the country's most talented football players on offense and defense. Yes, remember those names. These are, without exception, 6 offensive players that can take the game of college football to any team in the country and raise pure hell. Dylan, Sanders, Hunter, Kamati, Horn, and Weaver. We saw what Dylan Edwards did the first game. 4 touchdowns, outrunning everybody. And he got the plays that allowed him to show his talent and his speed. The fastest man on the field, regardless of the team he's playing, he showed out and was being thought of as a Heisman Trophy candidate from that most spectacular performance in that first game. Dylan Edwards, without question, is a threat to any team if he's allowed to play. Hunter, we all know, is a freak of nature on both offense and defense. He's no different than Muhammad Ali in his performance on the field. Deion Sanders' son, the quarterback, Sanders, is without any question the most talented football quarterback in college football. Yes, Sanders, the quarterback for Colorado, without question is the most accurate quarterback that will eat you alive in his passing attack. Without question, the boy this year, if he had a line, could be, without question, a Heisman Trophy candidate without any difficulty. Kamati, another freshman that nobody can handle on the field as a defensive player and as an offensive player, even though he has been allowed to play. Horn, we see, is a most exceptional speedster that will wreck any defense with his catching ability and his speed. Weaver has shown that he can catch the ball like a professional and can maneuver after he get it. Dylan, Sanders, Hunter, Kamati, Horn, Weaver on offense will shut any team down. Now, we know that Colorado doesn't have an offensive line. Yes, they have one of the worst offensive lines there is, but that can be compensated with this exceptional talent I just spoke of in Dylan, Sanders, Hunter, Weaver, Kamati, and Horn. Yes, teams will not allow the quarterback to drop back and have time to throw the deep pass. But with the talent I just mentioned, with Dylan Edwards in the flat, a team that's going to stunt and send everything they got to get the quarterback to not allow him to throw a deep pass or a short pass, well, that can be counteracted very easily. Throwing Edwards a pass in the flats. Yeah. You don't have a good offensive line, but that's no excuse for what we see happening in these games. You don't have to be a football expert to understand that you can counteract the defense sending everybody they got and not allowing the quarterback to throw a deep pass. You got players that can take it to the hill with a short, quick pitch to the outside, or a draw play, or just a pass in the flats. We got men that have speed that no other defensive team can match. So even though the offensive line of Colorado cannot handle most of the defenses that they come up against, the defense can be defeated with a little exercise of intelligence and alteration of the game plan. Just put the ball in the hands of your speedsters in the flats and get rid of the ball within 1 second with a quick pass to all these players I just mentioned that have exceptional speed and receiving ability. Yeah, something is going on in Colorado, and it does not involve the incompetency of the players. It is not the players that are incompetent and without ability to win. Nope, it's not the players at Colorado that must be held accountable for what we see happening in these games this year. Nope, it's the coaching staff. Yes, let's get to the point. What's happening in Colorado is Deion has been betrayed by some coaches on the offense and defense. They are envious, and they don't want to see this man succeed. Yes, Deion has been betrayed, and these coaches on the offense and defense have sabotaged the Colorado football team despite of the exceptional talent I just mentioned and all of these top flight players. Dillon, Sanders, Hunter, Kamati, Horn, Weaver, all on the field at the same time. Nobody can stop them but the coaches. Yes. What's going on in Colorado does not reflect the talent of the players and what they could have accomplished this year, but for some rats on the coaching staff that have compromised the Colorado football team. There are some rats on the Colorado football team called coaches that have intentionally compromised and betrayed Deion and the players. Yes. Sounds impossible and crazy, but how else can you explain what you have seen in these games so far this year? Yeah. Coaches can call plays and say, well, we tried everything, but that's not the situation. What we've been seeing this year has raised some eyebrows and has revealed the play calling was not something that was just poor selection of plays, but more intentional acts to assure that the team will not win. Now, Deion Sanders has went out and hired a lot of white coaches, uh, but you got to understand these white coaches that he's hired. A lot of them come from the NFL. Some of them were head coaches in college, but you got to understand these titles they hold does not necessarily reflect their talent. They are the beneficiaries of a white supremacist institution. PWIs are systems founded upon principles of white supremacy, and these coaches that hold these jobs cannot be assumed to have acquired these jobs because of their skill, but rather because of their skin color. Yeah, that's right. That's just a fact of life. You cannot assume that these coaches Deion hired have superior skills because they came from the NFL or were head coaches previously. Their resumes look good, but their resumes and the titles they hold do not reflect their performance in these games we've seen them manage. Their resumes and their titles that they held previously before coming to Colorado does not reflect their skills. It is not a reflection of excellence so far as we have seen. Their performance has been absolutely ridiculous. Now, you should not be naive. The fans should not be naive to think that these predominantly white football teams that these coaches came from are any different than the white supremacist business institutions that exist in other areas of American life. All of them are based on foundations of white supremacy. If you all remember, before 1964, all white, predominantly white colleges, football teams were overtly racist and practiced racial discrimination against black players. They would not allow them to play and overtly said that they were inferior. Yes, that's the history that people like Ron DeSantis don't want you to learn about. Yes, before 1964, black football players were overtly discriminated against, and these PWIs were insistent upon protecting the players, the white coaches, and the predominantly white football programs from HBCU competition because they wanted to maintain control and dominance of the college football game and the thousands and millions of billions of dollars that went along with control and dominance of the college football program. So don't be a silly rabbit and think that these white men that have always controlled college football, all of a sudden after 1964 is now going to give away control and dominance of the college football game, even to Deion Sanders. These men are these men before 1964 were terrified that if they played the HBCUs, they would lose their rankings and the billions of dollars that came along from the television rankings that they were rewarded for being considered the top football programs in the country. Don't believe that now, after 1964, they're going to just concede and give up these billions of dollars to any black coach, even Deion Sanders. No, don't do that. Only a fool would think that PWIs are now going to allow black coaches and administrators to take over the coaching staffs at these PWIs. White announcers are terrified that blacks would take control not only of the players on the field and the coaching staff, but the announcers also. No, that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is what we see happening today. Deion Sanders was given an opportunity to come and be the head coach of what? Of a PWI that was the worst college football program in the country. Yep, he was given an opportunity they was hoping he would fail at. Yep, they were hoping and praying that he would fail at being a head coach, a winning head coach, because the team of Colorado hadn't won any games in the last 100 years. Let's give him a job at the worst PWI, and that should assure that he does not succeed, and it will affirm our racial proposition that black head coaches could not succeed at a predominantly white football program. But Deion did it. He disappointed them. He beat TCU the first game, who was in the national championship, and won several games after that. However, we see something going on fishy behind the scenes and on the field on national television. We see that Dylan, Edwards, Hunter, Weaver, Horn, and all of these players that could compete against anybody have been neutralized and taken out of the game. And now Deion is being embarrassed only because there's a rat on the coaching staff sent there to assure that Deion fails. I do believe that there are some coaches on the staff that are there to sabotage and make sure that Deion is not successful. How are they doing this? They're calling the defense and offensive plays that they know will not work. When you look at the games that they have played, you see the first game, we saw the talent of all the players, exceptional talent. And that was enough for these betrayers to understand who can do what and to make plans to eliminate and neutralize Edwards, Weaver, Hunter, et cetera, et cetera. We see against UCLA, the coach calling the plays, it was obvious that his intent was to make sure that Sanders was psyched on every play. Yeah, I mean, it can't be any more obvious than what we saw. The person calling the plays against UCLA for Colorado he can't be that incompetent. But he apparently was that wicked. He called a drop back pass every play, knowing that Sanders would not have time to throw the ball and was sacked. If you call a play that requires Sanders to drop back and pass in the pocket 100 times, and 99 times out of 100, he is sacked or ran out and doesn't have time to throw the ball, but you keep calling the same drop back pass, it is not just negligent or stupidity. That's intentional. You know it was going to happen. You know the line is not good enough to protect Sanders. So, but you still call the same play, knowing after 99 times it's being, he's not being allowed to throw the pass deep. And you still calling that play? No, I can see something is going on that's nefarious. Any fool realizes that if the defense is going to rush everybody, all you got to do is neutralize the strength of the defense by throwing a pass in the flats to Edwards, or pitching out the ball on a sweep with Edwards, or doing a reverse with Edwards, or calling short pattern passes so that the Sanders can get rid of the ball within 1 second. Get the ball in the hands of those speedsters, and you will neutralize the strength of the defense. Dillon, Hunter, Kamadi, Horn, Weaver, all these men have the ability to do miracles once they get the ball in their hands. And so for any offensive coordinator or anybody calling the plays on offense, with all of this talent in Dillon, Edwards, Hunter, Kamadi, Horn, Weaver on the offense, anybody not utilizing and making a change in the play calling and getting the ball in the hands of these speedsters, it is not something that's done by neglect. What has happened is there's a rat calling the plays to assure Deion Sanders, a black coach, does not succeed. He has neutralized the players that have proven to be the best in the country. All so that Deion will not be successful. Yeah, you look at how these things happen. You look at a couple games before, the guy calling the defensive plays. When your opponent's offense is in the red zone, somebody calling running the defense is making not mistakes, but the infractions are so frequent that now we see something that gives us reason to believe these are not just mistakes. Too many men on the field. What game was that? A couple games ago? Every time your opponent's offense gets in the red zone, we see penalties by the defense, too many men on the field. Who's responsible for confusion that causes too many men on the field? It's not the players. The players know who's supposed to be where. And if the mistake was made once or twice, the players will surely remember and not repeat the same thing. This has to do with the coach. It's the coach taking players off the field, throwing players in the field, on the field. That is a very fundamental piece of knowledge that the players and the coaches should know about and how to go in and out of the game. Too many men on the field. How many times was that called? About 4 or 5 times in a couple games before. That is not a mistake. That is something intentionally being done to give the offense the opportunity to score. Yeah, there's so many things been done. And where was Kamadi? Kamadi, when Hunter got hurt, Kamadi was on the sideline, and they had this white boy out there playing. Is he better than Kamadi? Kamadi could have shut down that entire side of the field just like Hunter. Kamadi is just as good as Hunter, but he's on the sideline, on the bench. And this white boy is back there playing safety or defensive back, and he is as slow as molasses, cannot react to anybody. Men run past him. He shouldn't even have a scholarship, but Deion got him out there playing politics. And they had number 44 on the bench. Who's responsible for the only effective linebackers, number 44, who transferred from somebody that when he got in the game halfway through the season, he was just tearing up the place. But why was he on the sideline? Deion playing games, playing politics, putting these white boys in the game. Now that's on Deion. And then Deion get out there and make all kinds of comments about how this white player is a leader. Well, we in this very smart. Well, it's good he's smart in school, but on the field, we're not looking at his smartness. We're looking at his athletic ability, and it is proven to be extremely terrible. That's just a fact. Look at the film. You're not going to win anything when you start playing people because of politics and skin color. Got to call it out. And Deion, you got to start calling out these damn white coaches that are calling plays that, I mean, it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. That last game against UCLA, your son getting the ball and drop back passing. And before he can take 2 steps back, the whole defensive line is on him. That's embarrassing to see that the offensive coordinator or whoever calling the plays did not make an adjustment for something that is so obvious to everybody. They don't even know how to play football. It is so obvious that there are all other alternatives to just drop back passing, a roll out and throw the ball. Like I said before, you drop back 100 times, 99 out of 100 times, the defensive line is sacking him. Are you going to continue doing that? Only if you wish to lose. Even a fool would not continue doing the same thing and expecting to get different results. That was so embarrassing. It became so obvious that somebody is calling plays to assure that Dillon, Hunter, Kamati, Horn, and Weaver are neutralized. Yes, let him drop back. There's no offensive line to allow Sanders to get the ball to Hunter, Dillon, Horn, or Weaver. Oh, so now we see that is the way the game going to go. Well, let's keep doing that. We can neutralize Dillon, Hunter, Horn, and Weaver. Keep letting them drop back passing and looking for somebody downfield. Let's not throw the ball out to the flats. Let's not throw short passes. Let's not throw underneath, giving Sanders the opportunity to get the ball out of his hands and into the hands of these speedsters. No, let's do something that we know that's not going to work. Let's continue drop back passing, giving the defense time to break his neck. Yeah, let's do that. That's what happened against UCLA. That's what's happened in all these other games they've lost. They look at the use of Dylan Edwards, the misuse and non-use of Dylan Edwards and Horn. I could not believe that subsequent to the first game where Edwards and Horn just showed out, that all those games after that, they were put on the bench or allowed to be on the field, but not get the ball. What they succeeded at and proved to be superior in was discontinued in the previous games. Something is being done nefariously to assure that Deion and his players do not succeed. Players are being not utilized. Plays are being called to assure that Sanders is not successful. Yep. I just had to make this presentation and make some comments because it was so disappointing to see what is happening in Colorado, because Shadur Sanders is, in fact, without any doubt, the most talented quarterback in college football in 2023. Make no mistake, Shadur Sanders is the most talented, most outstanding, most enlightening quarterback in college football. And what he's doing is being done without an offensive line. Just imagine if he would have went to Florida State or Alabama. He would have made records that nobody would ever been able to break. But despite the fact that he went to Colorado, the worst team in America, that has no offensive line, he's still performing miracles. They expected him to be unsuccessful, but because of his superior talent, he still has achieved at a high level. However, even Superman can encounter some kryptonite when the kryptonite is in the presence of these coaches calling the plays to make him look bad. They know if they call the right plays, nobody can stop him. But the only person that can stop him are those coaches that are rats amongst us. I can't understand why Deion has not made a move to overrule these incompetent coaches. It's not the players who are incompetent. The players have talent, and their talent can be used to make them win games if you had competent coaches that were able to call plays to counteract an incompetent offensive line. It's not that difficult. You don't have to do anything very complicated to defeat and overcome a more superior defensive line. No, your opponent's defensive line, even though they're superior, their strength can be their weakness. All you got to do is what I said before. Quick pitches to the most fastest man in college football. Quick pitches, let him go around. Sweeps, passes in the flat. Short passes to Weaver, Kamani, get him off the bench. Stop playing stupid, acting stupid. He's there to play football. Hunt just like Hunter. If the man got the talent, even though he's a freshman, can't nobody handle him. Why you got him on the bench? He's there to play football, go to NFL, not to be a Rhodes Scholar his first year in college. But that's all I got to say. Yep, there's a rat, and I wouldn't put it beyond the fact that this rat was sent by some people that don't like to see black men succeed. Yep, I would not put it past the fact that these games that we see Colorado losing is the result of some coaches that have some nefarious racial problems with seeing a black man succeed. Yep. Need to do some investigation. Can anybody on this level be that stupid? If you got prior NFL or college head coach jobs, that means that you are not ignorant. So when we see men not making adjustments, it is not because they lack skills or don't have experience and do not know how to adjust in these difficult situations where the defense is dominating. No. These men have very impressive titles. So what they're doing or not doing is not because they're young and ignorant. It's because it's intentional. And with that, Deion needs to make some decisions. Because Deion is, in fact, just like his son, the most talented head coach in America. They wanted him to fail, but that is impossible. But they can do things to trip him up and make him look bad. Unless he just step up and take over like he did on the field. Take over the coaching, play calling. Otherwise, the games get too brutal for the players to handle. Envious coaches are the most dangerous because they want to see you fail. They want what you got, but they can't have it because God didn't give it to them. So they'll do anything to make you fail. And you, Deion, trust these people too much. It should be obvious to you, as it is to me and a whole lot of other people, that these coaches you have hired are very incompetent or very competent in sabotaging your program. With that, I look forward to next year's football program and season because this one has been shot. Go get you some new coaches, Deion. Get rid of these rats.